March 6, 1944, 25,000 feet above Berlin, Germany. Frost creeps across the glass nose of a Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress as its four roaring Wright Cyclone engines fight the thin air. Inside, the cockpit rattles like it's being torn apart by invisible hands. Second Lieutenant Charles "Chuck" Eaton wipes the blood from his eyebrow. Shrapnel from a cannon round that barely missed his co-pilot's head. Outside, more than a dozen Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Focke-Wulf 190s swarm the sky like hungry sharks. The fortress shudders violently. Tracers pepper its wings. Metal flakes peel away in the wind. The tail gunner yells through the intercom. "We've lost the elevator trim. Tail's almost gone." Yet the aircraft still holds course, still pushes toward the target below. Every man aboard knows the mission must continue. And the world is watching what these fortresses can endure. And hey, if you love gripping real stories that survive the battlefield, and you want to discover more moments that reshaped history forever, stick with us. Hit that like, and let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. The intercom crackles again, this time from the waist gunner. Port engines smoking. They're trying to knock us out of the sky. He fires back at the enemy fighters, the .50 caliber Brownings erupting with thunder. Shell casings rain across the fuselage, bouncing off torn metal and limp control cables that swing like broken nerves. Pieces of the B-17 shear away with every burst of cannon fire. Oxygen masks tremble against bruised faces as freezing wind rushes through fresh holes ripped into the body of the aircraft. The radio operator, Staff Sergeant Williams, presses a hand against his shoulder. Blood seeps through the leather of his jacket, but his other hand still works the radio, sending signals home. Fortress still airborne. Target in sight. The bomb bay doors creak open, half jammed from earlier damage, but the payload releases. An explosion of light erupts below as the objective vanishes under smoke. For a brief moment, no one breathes. They did it. They actually did it. But now, can they survive the flight home? Turning back toward England, the fortress limps through the sky like a wounded giant. The Luftwaffe fighters peel away. Fuel spent or afraid to dive into the growing cloud of American escorts now sweeping in to protect the cripples. But survival is far from certain. Engine number 2 coughs once and dies. The propeller spins freely, useless. With only 3 engines pushing through the headwind, altitude begins to drop. Slowly at first, then dangerously quick. Inside, the men brace for the worst. The tail gunner reports he can barely see. His compartment is a twisted cage of metal, visibility shot to pieces. Frost bites fingers through torn gloves as the temperature plunges below freezing. The navigator crawls forward, charting a desperate course with half his maps shredded by flak. Every inch of the plane trembles, sounding like it might tear apart for good. But somehow, the wings still hold. The fortress refuses to die. March 6, 1944. Hours after leaving Berlin, the battered B-17 crests the English Channel. Saltwater mist cuts through jagged holes in the fuselage, icing on exposed control panels. The aircraft shudders with every gust, trailing sparks from damaged wiring and scuffed engine mounts. Inside, Lieutenant Eaton grips the yoke with white-knuckled determination, guiding the giant metal bird like it's a wild stallion refusing to be tamed. Below, the coastline of England appears like a promise. The remaining crew peer out through shattered windows, eyes wide with disbelief. They see missing flaps, a gaping hole in the fuselage, and rivets ripped free, yet the flying fortress still soars. One by one, the crew members let out a shaky laugh, part relief, part disbelief, part sheer triumph. Against impossible odds, against overwhelming fire, the B-17 and her crew have survived, writing another legend into the skies of World War II. Back on solid ground, the crew staggers out onto the tarmac, faces smeared with frostbite, soot, and adrenaline. Mechanics circle the fortress in awe, counting bullet holes, torn panels, and the half-detached tail that somehow stayed put. They whisper among themselves, "She flew all the way back like that?" Indeed, the B-17 had earned her nickname, the Flying Fortress, not just for her firepower, but for her uncanny ability to survive what no one thought possible. Stories like these spread quickly among the airbases, lifting morale. Young recruits listened wide-eyed as veterans recounted fortresses returning with shattered wings, riddled fuselages, and crew members who survived against the odds. It wasn't just a plane. It was a symbol, a testament to American ingenuity, courage, and unyielding spirit. The legacy of the B-17 Flying Fortress lives on, not just in museums or old photographs, but in every story of survival and bravery that defined the air war over Europe. These aircraft weren't just machines. They were lifelines, legends, and silent witnesses to history. As we honor their endurance, remember the men who risked everything to fly them, and the courage it took to return from missions that seemed impossible. If you've been captivated by this story and want to dive deeper into history's most incredible moments, make sure to subscribe to America in Time. Hit the bell so you never miss a story, and drop a comment sharing where you're watching from. I love seeing history connect people across the world. Every like, share, and comment helps keep these stories alive for generations to come.